I'm Jen Jewson. I'm the current president of Together for Sustainability, and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the launch of the Together for Sustainability Product Carbon Footprint Exchange Solution. Together for Sustainability is a global initiative dedicated to driving sustainability across the chemical industry supply chain. We now have over 50 member companies, including some of the largest global chemical companies. During this interactive event, speakers will share their experiences of using the PCF Exchange solution, including what the PCF Exchange solution is, how suppliers and corporations can use it, how it can be rolled out in your organization, and above all, why it truly matters. We will have an audience Q&A session, so you can submit your questions in the chat box on the right side of the screen, and the moderator will facilitate your questions during the Q&A. So let's dig a little deeper into Scope 3 greenhouse gas program and the importance of the product carbon footprint. A key challenge for the chemical sector is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, particularly Scope 3 emissions, which occur across the entire supply chain. To address this, TFS launched the Scope 3 greenhouse gas program. It is a unified approach for monitoring, managing, and ultimately reducing emissions in our industry. In September of 2022, we introduced the PCF Guideline, offering a clear step-by-step approach for suppliers to calculate the product carbon footprint. And today I'm excited that we can even build on that success and officially introduce the Together for Sustainability PCF Exchange solution. It is an innovative new tool designed to facilitate the seamless exchange of data across the chemical supply chain. The product carbon footprint exchange solution will revolutionize how companies manage their carbon footprint data. By enabling greater transparency and collaboration, it supports efforts to decarbonize not only the chemical industry, but also extends to the broader sectors that rely on our products today. Innovation will drive progress towards a cleaner, greener, and more resilient chemical industry, aligning with global sustainability goals. And so now I will hand it over to Nancy Gillis, the Senior Director of Industrial Pathways Transformation at WBCSD.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer, and a very warm welcome to all who are joining us today. As the Director for Industrial Decarbonization at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, it's with great honor and excitement that I moderate today's event. The launch of the Together for Sustainability PCF Exchange does come at an essential time during our global decarbonization efforts. COP29, which is taking place next month, right around the corner, is one of our dwindling opportunities to push for climate actions that will keep us on a 1.5 degree trajectory. Now, COP29 is expected to emphasize the need for industries to accelerate decarbonization, to increase transparency across supply chains, and to leverage digital solutions that promote data accuracy and comparability. That makes the launch of this new solution more relevant than ever. This is because accurate and transparent carbon footprint data is key to reducing emissions. And digital solutions, such as the PCF Exchange, they're playing an increasingly important role, especially in industry, as Jennifer mentioned, ones that have such complex supply chains, such as the chemical industry. And the chemical industry, let we forget, is core to a number of global supply chains, and it faces significant challenges, also as Jennifer mentioned, in managing its Scope 3 emissions. The PCF Exchange platform provides an important tool to streamline carbon footprinting reporting and to support those companies in taking targeted decarbonization actions. Now, it's a tool that not only addresses the unique challenges of the chemical industry, it also helps companies across global supply chains. That's why I'm also really excited. Now, I mentioned I'm part of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and of course, we're also known for PACT. Now, as part of WBCSD's PACT initiative, Together for Sustainability is working closely and collaboratively with PACT to develop a fully integrated standard for seamless data exchange. Now, this partnership focuses on aligning efforts across sectors, recognizing, as I mentioned, many companies operate across different industries and in global supply chains. The goal is to create a unified standard that helps companies meet their sustainability commitments more effectively and more consistently. So by providing this platform, Together for Sustainability is empowering businesses to take immediate action on climate change. And with the opportunity for actions decreasing, the PCF data exchange couldn't come at a more important time. So what I wanted to do now is go ahead and invite a number of our speakers to join this important launch conversation. With that, let me go ahead and ask Verena and Valentina to join us to discuss the specifics of the PCF data exchange. But before you start sharing some information, can you please first introduce yourselves to the audience?
Hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining our session today. I am Marina Bubak and I'm wearing two hats. On the one hand side, I'm a co-chair in the Together for Sustainability Scope 3 program. And at Merck, a TFS member company, I'm head of sustainability and procurement excellence. So reducing emissions in our supply chain is one of my key responsibilities. So today I'll be speaking about the exchange solution from a corporate buyer perspective.
Thank you, Verena. Now it's my turn to introduce myself. My name is Valentina Giraldo, and as Verena, I am a co-chair of a work package in the Scope 3 workstream. This work package is called Data Collection and Sharing, and it is focusing on data collection and improving the way that we get the data from our suppliers and share it with customers. On top of that, on my day job, I am the Lifecycle Assessment Manager at International Flavors and Fragrances, specializing specifically on LCA automation and digital transformation. I'm really happy to be here with you and talk to you about the TFS data exchange solution.
Great. Thank you so much for both joining us. Now, Jennifer and I both talked about how excited we are and what a big impact the PCF data exchange is going to have, especially as it comes right before COP29 as well. But could you tell us a little bit more about what is it? Verena, could you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, the PCF Exchange solution is really a groundbreaking solution addressing two essential problems. Collecting product carbon footprint, as Jennifer said, from suppliers is really paramount for all companies in order to improve the Scope 3 data accuracy and then use that to drive really emission reductions. As we look at the portfolios of procured materials, we're going to be talking about hundreds and thousands of materials that we procure from hundreds and thousands of suppliers. So collecting all that information manually would be a huge operational workout. So with this platform, this is digitally possible. And so the effect on scale and efficiency is massive. And the second concern that many companies have raised in the past is about the security of data that we exchange amongst each other. And also that is solved with the C-Green technology that really allows exchanging data at scale in a secure manner.
That's really helpful. And I think we're going to have a panelist who joins us in a few moments to talk a little bit more about C-Green and addressing that data security concern. But let's turn a little bit more about, we've heard what is it. Now, how about who can use it and how can they use it? And Valentina, can you talk a little bit about that?
Of course. The TFS data exchange solution is available to all TFS members, but also to all their value chain partners. TFS members have free access to the tool, but there is also the option for non-members to join for free with limited features. How it works is that users receive invitations from customers and can access the platform through any internet browser, making it super convenient and easy to use. There is no need to install anything. But when it comes to the data exchange, you can upload the data in the tool either manually or you can upload files, mass file uploads, ensuring flexibility for different user capabilities. I would also like to point out that there are comprehensive training materials available to support onboarding, both for members and their suppliers, Plenty of these materials will be found on the TFS Academy, which I highly encourage you to go to, which is accessible through the TFS website.
Okay, so now you've shared that it's open to all members, but this is a webinar that's focusing on chemical companies and the chemical supply chain. Can you talk a little bit about what are the benefits that it provides to them and to their suppliers?
Yes, of course. First of all, the solution enables secure and streamlined data exchange, significantly reducing the time and errors involved in manual data handling, particularly on large scales. So say bye to your exercise. On top of that, using the tool creates opportunities for greater collaboration between companies, their suppliers, and their customers by providing a shared platform or accurate carbon footprint data exchange. But finally, it supports chemical companies' alignment with global sustainability goals through improved resource optimizations and allows access to new markets that prioritize better practices. It also enhances brand reputation in a competitive landscape.
Now, there was mention made at the beginning by Jennifer about the fact that this exchange works kind of alongside the previously launched PCF Guideline. Verena, can you tell a little bit about how's that working together?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would also said. So the Together for Sustainability launched this whole program to tackle Scope 3 emissions in a consolidated way. So the goal is really to drive decarbonization across the industry by making product carbon footprint data accessible, standardized, and easy to compare. So obviously also now the exchange solution is fully aligned with the prior launched PCF guideline, meaning that the emission data that we exchange through the platform follows a standardized method of calculation. And with this, we address basically three main challenges. One is, as I said earlier, the scale of data exchange that is now digitized, automized, and much more manageable in terms of volume of data points. The data comparability, so the data exchange follows that standardized method, how it's been calculated. You can tick in the solution what standard has been used to ensure that the recipient knows that. And then obviously the opportunity and the offering of the solution that it can be connected to a company's IT landscape is really where the automation and the efficiency at scale comes into the picture. And all of that in a trusted environment. So that's really how the two solutions, the way to how to calculate in a standardized manner, and then how to exchange seamlessly in a standardized manner, go hand in hand.
Wow, thank you for clarifying that. And I already see that we're getting a number of audience questions, which is great. Please continue to put your questions into the chat box that Jennifer had shared. But before we turn to those, as I mentioned, I focus on decarbonization, and Verena, I don't want to let you off the hook. How is this going to help drive decarbonization across the chemical sector?
So the exchange solution on the one hand side really fosters transparency and especially collaboration across the industry. And I think that's where you will agree. We cannot solve this critical Scope 3 challenge alone. It's really a collaborative effort that all companies have to buy in together and that we can only achieve together. So having that platform that so many companies will use is already a remarkable step forward, because obviously it reduces also the efforts on everybody's end. So second, as this is a common platform that we will all use, and ensuring that we have the data exchange of reliable data information, of comparable data information, this will then help each company to really identify the areas where to focus in order to really reduce emissions. So that's where the impact aspect then comes into the picture. And of course, all of that together, the transparency, the collaboration, plus the concrete steps to drive impact is where we collectively move forward on the decarbonization agenda.
Okay. Well, Valentina, I'm going to ask you one more. This is now coming from our audience, because you did talk about how the product carbon footprint guidelines and the exchange kind of work collaboratively together. There is the question about, is it possible to compare product carbon footprints? And Valentina, I'm going to ask you that, but Verena, I'm not letting you off the hook either. So both of you, can you compare product carbon footprints using the guidelines?
I can start, Verena, if that's okay for you.
Yeah, you go ahead, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone here to use the TFS PCF guideline because it is promoting good quality data. And in the future, we expect that we can compare product carbon footprints. However, how the state of also background data of life cycle assessment is not mature enough yet to compare PCFs one by one. So I would suggest all of you to first follow the PCF guidelines so we move together towards the future of being able to do this. But as it is now, when it comes not because of the TFS guideline, but because of how PCFs are calculated, I would not encourage to do this yet.
I'll pick on what you say, Valentina. So maybe, I'm sure we have an audience with mixed level of detailed information of what a product carbon footprint is. So the product carbon footprint is quite a tricky value to calculate. And that's where comparability is so challenging. You cannot just compare numbers because you may be comparing apples and oranges. So it's very important to not just share the value in the platform, but to also, and that's where the platform allows from a settings perspective, also give some further information how that value was calculated, the system boundaries, the calculation guidance or framework that was used to calculate it, or if it's the TFS one or if it's an ISO guideline. And so all of these extra information that come as a package with the PCF data, this is actually where the platform helps that the receiving company understands much better how the value was calculated and then can compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
Okay, and then one last question before we move on to our next speaker and have actually a really relevant presentation. So how is the platform different than other data collection and sharing tools like EcoVadis, for example?
I can go first this time before you jump in, Valentina. So this is a secure data exchange platform where the data exchanged between two parties and nobody else sees it. So it is not a database. It's not that TFS then all of a sudden sees all the PCS values. So that's a very different approach than, for instance, where we use EcoVadis, where the idea is that we look all into the assessment results so that we share really the insights.
Thank you, Verena. And I would like to add something else. Since I've been the co-chair of Work Package 2, focusing on finding a tool that is good for all of you here, we have been collaborating with Siemens, with the developer of SiGreen, for a couple of years now. We first looked at all the tools available. We chose ourselves in TFS with collaboration with 23 member companies. What was the best tool for us to use? We chose this one. And I think that all the input from all of these 23 member companies that have been working together with Siemens is reflected in the tool. So I highly encourage you to have a look at it because we've really done a lot of work to improve it and to make sure that everyone here can use it.
Well, thank you, both of you. Thank you for being both informative and having a great discussion. Now, you mentioned SiGreen, so what I'd like to do is ask our next speaker to join us. Gunter, if you could join us. I know you're giving us a short presentation. Before you do so, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. So my name is Gunter Beitinger. I'm with Siemens Digital Industries. I'm responsible for manufacturing and for factory digitalization. And I also initiated the development, as Valentina said, of SiGreen. Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
we can see. Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get a response, so I thought maybe there is an offline. So.
Oh, no. We're giving you plenty of space for this great presentation.
So, yeah, the question was, what is the benefits of SiGreen? I mean, Verena and Valentina already did a great job. Thank you for this. You mentioned several benefits. Maybe then let me point out three main benefits, because, of course, there are multiple. So first of all, we have the efficient data handling. It was also already mentioned for database decisions. This allows you to streamline your data exchange and reducing time and errors in manual data collection. I mean, Valentina also pointed this out, and allowing for database decisions, and that's very important to make later than impactful decisions in your organization. So the Seagreen technology links all relevant departments that are involved in managing the product carbon footprint at scale. Verena, you mentioned there's procurement, R&D, product managers, LCA experts. All of them come together in one tool and they can work together. Then, of course, Seagreen is open and it provides connectivity to your existing tool landscape. And we are offering APIs so that you are able to include the Seagreen into your existing IT/OT landscape and, of course, into your daily routines. So the Seagreen technology allows you to use product carbon footprint management in any way that fits for your organization. And be it that you just started to use product carbon footprint management, or the product carbon footprint journey with a couple of products, or as Verena mentioned, if you have thousands or 100,000, I think you said, of suppliers you need to manage. So it's for all size of companies. And of course, it's across multiple departments. Also, what was mentioned was data protection. We, right from the beginning, we developed Seagreen so data protection is inbuilt to allow you to be in charge of your data and you can control who you exchange data with. And that's very important, that you have the full control of your data. So the Seagreen technology also ensures that state-of-the-art cybersecurity standards are met and your data is protected and secure. In a nutshell, maybe I would summarize it that Seagreen sets a new standard for PCF management. Our solution offers unmatched accuracy, speed, and ease of use. And by automating data collection and calculations, we save you time and resources. Plus, our robust data security features ensure your information is always protected. So in our collaboration with TFS members, Valentina, you was on the journey. In the development, Seagreen makes even more, was really provided more value in the chemical context. We allow companies to use different chemical identifiers, for example, like the CAS registry number. And of course, it includes the latest version of the TFS PCF Guideline. You already also mentioned this, and methodology into the platform. So you're always methodology compliant. And then from our side, I must say, within Siemens, honestly, we recognize the chemical industry as a clear front runner in product carbon footprint management, setting the standard in terms of methodology, comparability, and overall sophistication. So our collaboration with you as industry leaders and partners for us brings together the expertise from the what we see at the moment, market, most mature PCF management companies, and benefiting both Siemens and, of course, the environment that we want to make the impact. So mentioning that also, Nancy said the pact. So the Seagreen technology showed pact conformant in our test system last month. So we're very proud of this. And now we are working tirelessly to include the pact feature in the live system, so in the platform which we are using with one of the next releases.
Well, that's fantastic news. And it's all about collaboration. If that's one of the takeaways from this conversation here, especially as we, again, pivot towards COP29 in a few short weeks, we really need to accelerate the impact that we're having. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is through this type of collaboration. So Gunter, that's really great to hear. Now, I am becoming aware there's a number of questions that are coming from participants. Again, keep asking these great questions. This is your opportunity to do so. One of them is Seagreen going to replace various individual companies' LCA tools?
No, if you're asking me, we are not replacing LCL tools. Of course, we are working with LCL tools together. So we will replace the individual communication, so which is normally or mostly done via email. So now you have also a communication platform. So that it makes it compliant, easy, and also your information is protected. So, of course, we're working with LCA tools together, but we are not replacing them.
Well, that's good to clarify. And I think this was touched upon a little bit earlier, but just to reiterate that question about when data is uploaded, is it going to be visible to other members using the tool? I think, Valentina, you touched on this, or is it really only visible to my companies and my value chain partners? I'm not sure if I think that's more exchange related than it is Seagreen, but I'll leave it to both of you to address.
Of course. When you upload the data and when you request the data from a supplier or you want to share data with your customer, nobody else will be able to see this data. So if a customer sends you a request through Seagreen, you need to approve for them to receive it. It's not a space where all the data is in and everyone can go and see. Nobody can see. Only the customer after you have approved to share this data with them. Also, when you request from a supplier and you send a request for a specific product that you get from one of your suppliers, they need to accept if they want to share it with you, and only when they accept, you will receive this data. But it's confidential. Nobody else will be able to access your PCFs, so you can not worry about this because it's very secure.
Let me add, Valentina, because this is really where the efficiency part for the suppliers comes in. So you get a request maybe from one customer, you upload it after you've secured everything and decked the tick marks that this customer can see it. The moment another customer or 500 other customers ask you, your data is already there. So you can just also grant them access, and then they can see it without any more work on your end. But each time you approve and you still own the data that you have uploaded.
Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Actually, I can add something. Yeah, Siemens is really using a robust security protocols. We have them in place. So we have dedicated cybersecurity professionals around the world who are constantly monitoring our platforms 24/7. We're using state-of-the-art multi-factor authentication. We have strict access control and, of course, state-of-the-art encryption, so we can ensure your data are safe and you only share data with whom you want to.
Okay, so thank you very much, all three of you, for clarifying kind of who gets to see it, where does it go, the benefits, and also the addressing the risks that some of our participants have had concerns about here. Let's pivot a little bit. Let's go back to my selfish area of interest, which is Scope 3 and decarbonization. And can we talk a little bit about, and Gunter, since you've joined us, does Seagreen just send data, or does it also calculate the product carbon footprints and a company's total Scope 3 emissions?
Boring answer. It just sends data, if I pick up what you said. No, but it obviously helps us to calculate more accurately at a company level, because most companies currently estimate their emissions based on spend or weight, and then they use secondary data points and emission factors, but they never give you the real picture what's happening at your supplier side. Have your suppliers taken any measures, and actually is the product carbon footprint associated to the exact product that you're purchasing may be lower than the general value that you do in your estimation. So getting more accurate in emission calculation means you need to receive all those data points from suppliers. And that's where the solution really helps you improve the accuracy of your calculation, because you can now at scale receive the necessary information from your supply chain.
Absolutely.
Gunter's like, yep, check. Good answer.
Very good answer. I mean, of course, when you are in the development of a product and you do not have, you only have data based on the past, so you are good with starting with a life cycle assessment. But then when in the moment when you go into production, then you should replace the data with real data. So replacing the secondary data with real data as they give you then the accurate emission of your product. And that is what Valentina is talking about. So that allows you then, of course, to make impactful decisions, because you see where the pain points are in the broader carbon footprint, which you would not see if you still calculate on average base.
Well, since I'm moderator, I get to monopolize. And so let's continue just talking about things that I care about. So, Verena, if we use a different sharing platform that is also PAC conformant, can it talk to SIGREEN? Because, as we know, interoperability is a requirement under PACT.
Yep, that's the whole idea. We're not quite there yet. But that's exactly the idea. So we're working very closely with PAC, that also the data models will be fully aligned in the very near future. The systems, as Gunter said, have the capability from a technical perspective, and the test system that was proven. And now we're working very closely, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. The whole idea is to bring the standards together, have the whole industry collaborate. So that must be the ultimate goal. We're looking at a time horizon here, Q1, Q2 next year.
That's really important to share, and thank you for that. Now, we've been talking about the importance of collaboration, and it just struck me, you mentioned PCF Data Exchange, that solution is available to members, but how about non-Together for Sustainability members? How do they get access to it?
SIGREEN is open also for non-members. Of course, if you use as a non-member, you're still able to exchange the information. You are not able to benefit from the TFS, let's say, offerings like the trainings in different languages. But in general, you can use SIGREEN also with other companies, and you are able to exchange information. I mean, from our point of view, supply chains have multidimensional level, so it must be open. So also, of course, we are reaching out to the automotive industry, to food and beverage, to all other industries, as maybe suppliers are also providing these different industries. So we are Catena X compliant, and also, like I already mentioned, the PACT conformant is on the way. So yes, we are an open platform, so it can be used also with non-TFS members and non-chemical.
And then, of course, if you're a TFS, if you're not a TFS member but a supplier to us, then of course you have the ability to access the platform and also the trainings through our TFS Academy. So that's a special situation. Then, while not being a TFS member, you're still a supplier to a member, and then you have that access as well.
And just a quick aside, and I'm sorry for my own ignorance, what trainings are available? I'm always excited when we're able to give trainings and really empower people. Can you share a little bit about that?
I can answer that question, if that's okay. We have several trainings available in the TFS website. We have different packages. We have one that is for the TFS members, so it will have all the documents that you need to start the onboarding. But we also have an additional package for the TFS member suppliers. So I will invite all suppliers to create an account in the TFS Academy and access this onboarding, because it's available there for you. We also have recordings, so it's not just PDFs and step-by-step guides, but we have recordings from webinars that we have done previously for our suppliers and also for our members. And we have scheduled monthly right now, or maybe in the future, trainings in different languages for our suppliers that are located in different parts of the world. So I highly encourage you to join. I highly encourage you to keep an eye on the website, on the communication, and join one of these trainings. But it's very useful, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, and Valentina, you didn't mention it's also in different languages. No, it's in different languages you're offering it.
Exactly.
So I have to test that promise. Is it in German?
Also. But also there is I would like to add something. There is also an inbuilt help and AI chat functionality within Seagreen. So while you're using it, you can also reach out to the AI chat functionality in case there are some questions or help needed.
Thank you for that, for sharing that. And I also now want to taking some of the levity out of this conversation and really talking about the importance of the platform and what we need to achieve to keep on that 1.5 degree trajectory. And here, Valentina, since we've been talking, can you track how the product carbon footprint's evolution's happening over time, and how do you use it to check if the suppliers are actually making decarbonization progress?
There is a feature indeed in Sigreen to track PCF evolution over time. So you can see the reflection of your supplier's efforts in your own PCF. If you're using that to calculate it, you will see also a nice graph with a line showing if it has decreased. And then that will allow you to see transparently what they're doing or what you should be doing to reduce your footprint. But it's super nice because you have a log. And if you have been updating your PCFs or requesting the PCF from your suppliers, every time there's an update, you will be able to see the difference.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Now, I know we've been having a great conversation here, but we also are lucky to have one last, but definitely not least, panelist join us. And so with that, I'd like to go ahead and ask Anurag, if you could please join the conversation, but first introduce yourself.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm Anurag. I am CEO of Specialty Chemicals Business at SRF, and I'm connecting from India. I'm personally very passionate about sustainability initiatives, and as we really look at SRF, we are embarking on this journey and right now focusing on decarbonization. So this is where I'm attached to SRF right now.
Okay, and now you are, I think in our conversation today, representing a supplier who participated in the pilot. Can you share a little bit about your experience, what that journey was, how the experience reshaped your data reporting processes, what newfound efficiencies you may have discovered along the way?
I think it has been an interesting right from the beginning, because initially we were just trying to understand. It's easy, as Verena mentioned, that it's easy to say that what is your spend, what is your tonnage, and then you try to really do as a black box thinking. But when you really start going into the product level, I think it gets tricky. And this is where we were struggling to really put data together. And I think it significantly changed the way our data was getting reported. So we started getting this data in a more orderly manner. It started getting into an automated system. And that's where we started using this Exchange platform to really say that this is how we are automating the whole process. So more importantly, when we looked at this data, we were concerned that should we use any outside tool, because we were concerned about our IP. And I am happy to share that this is where we got sufficient confidence that our data is IP protected. So this is where we started taking our baby steps on that. And then we started looking at how we handle different requests which come from different customers at the same time or at different points of time. And more importantly, our data was a bit scattered and it was ready to be put at one place. But we were also to look at the accuracy of the data, reporting and reproducing the data in an orderly manner, and making sure that how we really reduce our processing time to really present this data. I think this Exchange solution provided us a good platform to really see that how we present our data in a more streamlined manner. There is a PCF form, which is there. It is in the form of a questionnaire. This enabled us to really put the data in a more organized manner. And this required very less inputs from our side. So this was related to maybe the raw materials, the energy consumption, the EFs, or rather, let me say, emission factors, boundaries of measurement, and how we really look at what is the period under which we are taking this baseline case and how we are really reporting our information and from which side. I think this is quite crucial because when you handle a number of products, you have a couple of sites, it becomes a bit difficult to manage, let me put it this way. And this is where this comes as a handy tool once we have this exchange solution. So when we have this questionnaire completed, you start really getting the PCF data, which is having a good quality in terms of its completeness, its reliability. More importantly, I think whoever is looking at it is seeing from one side. It's not really seeing the data from different sides. So you get the transparency, you get the accuracy, you get the data which is validated. And more importantly, this is compliant to what is not seen by us, but maybe by the standards which are laid out in the industry. So this is what is important. And I think when we looked at this particular thing, it's important to see that how we look at this data. Is it a repository or is it just a reporting of the data? So this provides a beautiful repository position to us. It's system driven and it's compliant to, as Verena has mentioned, and as Gunter has also mentioned, that if you look at standards, it's PAC compliant. TFS is another standard which is followed. And even if you look at ISO 14067, this is requested by different customers based on what they follow. It provides an efficient way to really provide the data.
Well, I appreciate all of the information you've provided, and just queuing off of one of the last remarks that you made, which is your customers. And you mentioned in your comments the transparency benefits. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits for your customers with that transparency, but also something that we've been talking a lot about here, which is collaboration and the need for collaboration. So how has the pilot really brought that to the forefront for you? Transparency and collaboration with your customers.
I think as has been explained by Verena and Valentina, and then further substantiated by Gunter also, I think important part is scope 1, scope 2 is pretty much where you really try to put your knowledge and put things in perspective. Problem comes when you go to scope 3. That's where you get lost because you have different data points coming from different geographies, what to pick, and you can be off by a degree, which is by order of magnitude, I would say, in terms of how you get your data. The challenge when we really looked at it from a customer standpoint was, yes, we report, is the data is really going to help them? Because if we are looking at collaborative effort, are we reporting this data which is accurate, reliable? But at the same time, is it about only collecting the data, or is it about collaborating now to really see what is our decarbonization journey? Because your focus starts moving away from the whole concept of decarbonization to only struggling with the data and accuracy of data or reliability of data. But with this platform, you at least really put that in order. You start focusing on working on the joint targets, the strategies which have been laid down together. You can work on those things much more efficiently and start looking at the plans which are laid out over time on decarbonization.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, this is exactly that focus on how the transparency and collaboration works with the different parties that are important to you. Very important aspect of the success of the platform. Now, I have to tell you, we are gratified. There are so many questions that are coming in, but we are getting to the last 10 or 15 minutes of this particular webinar. So apologies, we can't get to all of the questions that we're receiving, but please know that you can go ahead and go to the Together for Sustainability Academy. There's going to be a lot more, as was mentioned, not only trainings, but other information available. So please do make sure, and apologies that we can't get to all the great questions that we're receiving. Now, we are going on to the last panel, but before we do so, we just really benefited, again, Anurag, thank you so much for your comments, this perspective of a supplier who participated in the pilot. Verena, I know that you were starting to think, well, I spoke at the beginning part of this. My job is done. I can now coast for the rest of this webinar. You're not that lucky. I now want to go ahead and ask you, as a Together for Sustainability member who participated in the pilot, what are some of the things that you learned? You know, what was your experience? How has this very important solution transformed your approach to tracking and managing carbon emissions, for example?
Yeah, big question. I guess I need to be crisp. So it was super important for us to actually be part of that pilot right from the beginning, because it sounded so promising and we really wanted to test and see that for ourselves, how it would integrate. And I'm really glad that Anurak already shared the supply perspective, because obviously my company is also a supplier. So we never set this up as just a procurement solution, but really as a corporate solution that will allow us exchanging with suppliers, but also with our customers. So right from the beginning, we brought in colleagues from the different areas, corporate sustainability, procurement, IT, data offices, to ensure we design it in a way that it can later on, as Gunter mentioned, connect to our internal data systems, data infrastructure, IT infrastructure, so that this optimized feature can really be used after the pilot as we go then in the rollout. And that we also design already the processes internally. How would who would request data, who would validate or do a double check if the data can be used, and so on. So that was really important, what we did internally during the pilot. And then, of course, we embedded this into our global supply decarbonization program. So we already have a lot of suppliers with whom we regularly exchange product carbon footprint, so they know the PCF standard that we want them to use by TFS. They know what we're asking, what our ambitions are. And then, so we use those to join us in the pilot to test the solution. So companies like Anuraks worked with us, and we're very happy that they were so receptive. And then also after the pilot and during the pilot, provided very valuable feedback to us how it was for them. And I can already say, so very positive response, similar to what Anurag just outlined, really efficient at scale, easy to use platform. So that's definitely now one thing that I look forward to in 2025, to really roll this out to our supplier base.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I know, again, as I made mention, we are coming to the close of the conversation. I want to start asking all of you to comment on this particular question, which is, for those who've joined us, they're really wanting to listen hard. What is the thing about the PCF data exchange that makes it relevant for them to share information about it within their organization? So if I'm now putting all of you on the spot, Jennifer, I'm including you here as well. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes because I know you weren't prepared for this, but I'm sure it's coming to mind. What is one standout feature of the PCF data exchange solution that participants in today's event should take back to their own organization? And Gunter, let me put you on the first hot seat.
Yeah, for me, with Siegen, you are able to make really impactful decisions, which helps the suppliers, the customers at the end, also the nature. So with real data, you are able to make the right decision. And that's, for me, the most benefit.
Great. Do we have a volunteer, or do I go ahead and get to pick somebody? Any next comment? What's the outstanding feature?
I can speak the next one. IP security, easy to use, and seamless coverage of the entire carbon footprint chain.
Fantastic.
Then I'll go next. I am so impressed that over 50 companies in the chemical industry, including, as you said, Nancy, some of the largest chemical companies, have agreed on one system. I think that's so impressive. And it really, really makes our lives and all our suppliers' lives so much easier to exchange the data that we absolutely need to drive decarbonization through that one system in accordance with one aligned standard. So I find this really outstanding.
Yes, and I can go next and share my experience also as an LCA specialist. One thing that I really like about the tool is how you can upload the data into SiteGreen. There's a feature for TFS members that is the mass upload, so you can just upload hundreds of products in one go instead of having to go one by one. So if you're a TFS member, you will benefit from this. And in the future, we will have also APIs for TFS members, or actually we already have the basic APIs, and that saves so much time to the team when it comes to uploading them.
And I'll close it out. So my feeling really is I love the fact that the tool allows for consistency of data. I think if we want to have credibility for our customers and credibility for our investors, this platform helps you to maintain consistency as we talk down different value chains.
Thank you for allowing me to put all of you on the spot. Now, there is one additional question I want to ask, but I do want to target it. And this is, we open today's conversation about the importance of accelerating decarbonization in scope 3, right? A recognition that for most industries, most of the emissions are in one supply chain, right? And here what I'd like to ask is, how do you get your suppliers to use this? And who'd like to start with that? Because I think that's a very important point as well.
I guess, as I said, I'll be on the corporate buyer perspective. I can take this one first. So I think what we were able to show today, and Anurak confirmed this also, there's a massive benefit for suppliers to use the tool because they're going to get the same requests over and over again from different customers. And as Valentina just stressed again, this mass upload. So it's so much easier to use. And also suppliers have the same, every company has the same issue. There's so much workload coming our way with data and regulation. So everything that can be digitized frees up resources that can actually work on measures and reducing emissions as opposed to collecting data and doing administrative work. So I think the efficiency and the relevance of communicating with customers is going to be a major benefit that suppliers will see.
And Anurag, is there anything that you wanted to add to that, bringing the supplier perspective to this conversation?
I think to start with, it is sounding a bit difficult. And if you have a handholding and which TFS is now providing, I think it's a great opportunity for people to join this whole initiative. And if they want to do their bit, learn, get yourself aware, and make others aware about how to really make life simple rather than really struggling with data and really getting lost in the data, because we have bigger jobs to do.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of decarbonization to accelerate. That's exactly what we need to do. So, well, I really want to thank all of the panelists who have joined us today. I want to point out again, for those who had questions and we weren't able to address them, please go to the Together for Sustainability Academy. It can be found on the Together for Sustainability website. And of course, if you were busily taking notes, but you may have had to step away to get a cup of coffee, as I frequently find myself during the day, note that there is a recording that's going to be available of this, so you can come back to it and listen to anything that you might have missed. With that, it again has been a tremendous honor and opportunity for me to be able to moderate, but truly it is the challenge of those who open and close, who really make sure that a webinar is successful. So with that, I'm very pleased to hand it back to Jennifer for closing comments. Jennifer?
Thank you, Nancy. And I would also like to thank you and the panelists for participating today. I think it's really important to share your perspective as you've been actively working within this exchange solution. So some closing remarks. In today's world where sustainability is increasingly a priority for both businesses and for governments, having the ability to accurately report and reduce emissions is more important than it's ever been before. We talked about this consistency of data. For our TFS members, participating in this PCF Exchange solution offers significant benefits, as we've talked about a little bit earlier. Improved brand reputation, the potential to tap into new market opportunities, and cost savings through better efficiency and resource optimization. And we've talked about that a lot, having that ability to reach out to many different customers once the data is there. Again, I'd like to thank you all who are on the webinar with us today for your time and your commitment for driving sustainability across these chemical supply chains as we go end to end and we look at the value chains. As said earlier, for more details, if you want to learn a little bit more about the PCF Exchange solution and other initiatives that Together for Sustainability is working on, I encourage you to please visit the TFS website. And with that, thank you so much for your participation, and we will close the webinar.